detail, but first we wanted to take this opportunity, as we always do within our own evaluation team, to get to know each other better. So we're going to do a round of whakawhanaungatanga. In this, of course, we're going to break away into breakout rooms, so there's smaller groups. These won't be recorded, and it's a chance to say your name, where you're from and your role. But then we've got 2 questions that we'd like you to answer in those breakout sessions. One is, have you done the Delphi audit before? And if so, when? And thinking about the Delphi coming up, what would be the most helpful supports for you? So while you're thinking about that answer, we thought we'd take this first chance, if you don't mind, for each of us to introduce ourselves. From the team, so I'll start and then we'll move around to Jane and Kathy and Sarah. My name is Te Puki. I'm very proud to be a registered social worker. I now work for the University of Auckland. I travel around the country teaching on a lot of topics, but including child trauma. But previous to this role that I have now, I was in Tairāwhiti working at Gisborne Hospital as a VIP. I loved that work, and I feel that I really got to understand the issues that went on in my area. As well, I did the Delphi, but I was only 6 weeks into the job, and Kathy did the site visit, and she was so warm and welcoming. But the difficulty is that I didn't know the answers to any of the questions, and so I'd say things like, I don't even know what that question means. So it was very, my experiences with Delphi were not as good as hopefully some of you had. So I'm very happy to be here. I'm going to pass the rako over to Jane to introduce herself.
Kia ora, everybody. Ko Jane Koziol McLean Tokungoa, and I'm part of the AUT evaluation team. And I've been engaged with the Delphi since 2004, and probably 4 versions. It used to be 2 completely separate tools, one for child abuse and neglect and one for intimate partner violence. So I've seen a lot of transitions in the Delphi tool over time. I'd like to say this is definitely the shortest tool that we've had. So that's quite good. We have worked hard to try to reduce the length of the tool. What support would be most helpful? I guess, like has been mentioned, the site visits. I love doing the site visits for the Delphi, and to be able to hear people's experiences in their district and to learn from that, and also to share some of the things that we've learned as we've gone around to the different districts. So I just love that connection and learning that happens during the site visits. And with me is Kathy Lowe. Kathy, over to you.
Kia ora, my name is Kathy Lowe and I'm a nurse. I've been a VIP coordinator at Te Tokutumai, Auckland for, I don't know, I've lost track, a long time. My work with the Delphi tool has been 2-pronged. First of all, actually having done it many times before in my role as VIP coordinator, but also helping to tweak it and make it more and more efficient and effective in my role in the National Evaluation Team as well. So I guess the support that I'm really passionate about is the practical application of the tool. How can we make it easier? How can we make it more practical? How can we make it more useful? That's where I come from. And I'll pass over to Sarah.
Morena tātou. Hiuri au no Ngāti Kahiki whangaroa, no kaiwa no whangaroa hau, engari ino hoana au o Otaki inainei, ko Sarah Herbert tōku ingoa. I'm joining you. I support Jane, Kathy, Te Pora, and the VIP National Evaluation Team. I've been with the team since 2022, 2023-ish, and my reason or interest in this mahi is really through a te tiriti lens and wanting to really disrupt the health system to better respond to and acknowledge the role of family violence in impacting health outcomes among our whānau. And so I'm often drawn to what's needed at a systems change level to enable the VIP to be more effective and more consistently applied across the rohe for our whānau. So that's what I bring to the team, and I will pass it to Te Pora because I'm not sure if we're breaking into our groups for the whakawhanaungatanga from here.
Yeah, so Jane's going to break us into the team. So just a reminder, have you done the Delphi before and what supports do you need? Thanks, Jane. I did skip over the purpose a little bit of why we're all here. So if I can just go back to that. This is a chance to have a brief introduction into the Delphi. And then we're going to talk about some commonly asked questions. And there'll also be time to ask your own questions and hopefully we can answer them. And all of this will be available afterwards on the VIP evaluation website. So as we go, you can put questions into the chat or comments, and I'll be looking at those. And as well, once we've got through the first part of the questioning, then you can use the the raise your hand, and you can ask questions in real time as well. So with that being said, I'll pop us over to you, Jane.
Right. So I'm just going to start with a brief overview just to get us started about the Delphi. So I just have a couple slides here. The VIP system, as you all will know, takes a health systems approach to responding to family violence. And part of that system is engaging with monitoring and evaluation. So that's what the AUT team has been engaged with in the role that we played with VIP. And in monitoring and evaluating VIP, there's several different activities that we've focused on. One is the Delphi tool, the other one is the clinical audit and the snapshot, and the third is making improvements. And we've also done qualitative studies at different points of time along VIP, such as during COVID. So today we're here to talk about the Delphi tool. So why should we monitor infrastructure? What is the reason that we want to monitor infrastructure? And I really like this quote. This is from a systematic review that was done of literature examining health practitioner readiness to address intimate partner violence. And across all of the research that they reviewed, the most common theme was that when a provider intention and actions were supported by a strong health system equipped to manage family violence, is when people were most ready to address family violence. So having a good system is important. It's not everything. You can have a system and people still may not perform, but having a strong system is an important component of supporting health workers to have best practice. So the Delphi, in looking at what is the infrastructure of VIP and evaluating that, we use the Delphi tool, which has 9 domains, 56 items. Each domain and the overall tool is scored from 0 to 100. And I think what's important about the Delphi tool is that it's not just about coming up with a score. The value of the Delphi is actually inputting the information that we get from the Delphi to quality improvement. So the data that we get from the Delphi can then be used for priority setting, taking action, and having responsibility and setting the timeline for change. And I think it's not just locally, but also regionally and nationally. So some of the efforts, certainly that Health Networks and Miranda has spearheaded over the years, has been in direct response to some of the scores that have been in the Delphi. So just from 2022, some of the high performing, we have done well for several occasions when we've measured infrastructure on policies and procedures and documentation. And a lot of that is based on the templates that we have available for us to use nationwide. Medium performing has been collaboration, training and support, and resource funding. And low performing domains have included cultural responsiveness, quality improvement, organizational leadership, and VIP practices. So the Delphi does give us a stock take of where we're at. We can measure change over time, and we can use it to identify what actions we can take. So we can take actions based on domains, but also individual indicators, such as organizational leadership, the indicator that more than 80% of senior executives and leadership team members have received training regarding VIP in the past 2 years. So in 2022, there were 2 districts, or 10%, that had that, that were engaged with ensuring that members of their governance group and their senior leadership team for VIP had training. So that's just an example of the ways that the tool can be used to create change. So the tool itself, there's an instructions and help page in the Excel workbook. You have to enable macros. You fill in the non-shaded cells, and when you click a response, the scores automatically get calculated. So you see real time as you do your self-audit, you can see what score you're tracking on. Actually, I'm going to just take you quickly to the website. So if I go to the VIP website, and you can get it, either use the URL or just search in Google. And this is the VIP website. And under Health System Infrastructure Assessment, this is the Delphi tool. This is an old video of general introduction to the Delphi tool, which may be useful. Under Resources, under Delphi, this is the information pack that you all would have been sent, and a Delphi measurement notes. And I'll just open up the measurement notes. This only has the measurement notes, and whereas the Delphi tool itself is hard to embed documents in, we just created this measurement note thing. So you can, this is not locked, it's not protected, so you can add a lot more data and figures to that measurement notes file. So we put that there. So if I go back up and go to the Delphi tool, and it'll get downloaded. So I'm just going to open it up. If I go to the form overview, instructions for help, and I'm just going along the bottom, evaluation results. So as you go through the domains, this will get populated. Organizational leadership. So all of the items are here. This, if you hover over the red diamond in the corner, is where the measurement notes come up. But they're also, as well as that separate document, they're also listed here at the end of the Excel spreadsheet as well. One of the things, this will be maybe a frequently asked question, so I'm going to go ahead and answer that now. So here under number 7, it says, please enter how many of the 6 designated services your district provides. So you actually need to put a number in this cell. Not everybody has 6. So someone, for example, may contract out sexual health to a regional service or community mental health, but you need to fill in this cell so the other cells get calculated correctly. So that's an organizational leadership, item number 7. So I'm going to stop sharing, and if we need to go back to that spreadsheet for any questions, we can do that later. So now I think we're going to hand back to Tepera, who will begin our frequently asked questions. And we're going to do this quite informally. Kathy and I will do maybe a little back and forth. We may agree with each other. We may actually disagree on some things. And feel free, some of you may have a better answer than we have. So do feel free to raise your hand, and as we work through the questions, and then we'll have plenty of time for your questions and answers as well. So back to you, Tepera.
Thanks, Jane. You're breaking up just a little bit, but it's still understandable once the lag stops. So I doubt there's much you can do at your end, but just so you know. Our first question is really about, can you tell us why we're having to do the Delphi tool again in 2025?
Yeah, I think, last one was done in 20, which is, right at the end of the COVID pandemic. We had lockdown, we've had health restructure that is still ongoing today. And so there've been a lot of uncertainty, a lot of changes. And what we noticed early on as VIP was developing is if we took our foot off the pedal, so to speak, and let things go, they weren't embedded enough, that we had to keep revisiting and seeing how we're doing. Are we making improvements? Are things still there? One of the things we learned, for example, in the 2022 was that a lot of the governance groups during the pandemic had disappeared, and they hadn't been reconvened. So we're hoping that when we go back, probably, I know a lot of districts are still working on that, but we'd like to see improvement in developing things like governance groups over time. And one of the things that really points out is that the measurement of infrastructure is not about coordinators. It is about the system. So it's not just on your shoulders. It should be about the district and the leadership having responsibility to support a response to family violence. So I think by doing the Delphi audit, we highlight that, and we look at the system as a whole and consider what can be changed, what's low-hanging fruit, what takes a national response, and what can be done locally. So I think it's an opportunity for us to not only measure where we're up to, but also for the site visits. And as we've all said, we really appreciate the site visits. There's a lot of learning that goes on during site visits and support offered both ways. So that's why we're doing the Delphi again.
Thanks, Jane. Our next question is, are there any changes to the scoring for the Delphi in this new version?
Yes, we've made changes to scoring in just 2 areas. The first one is in the training domain about post-training activities, engagement with training participants. So it used to be, do you have a post-training activity? And it was either yes or no. And because the most common response was we send an email. And we felt, that is important to connect with people post-training, but we recognize that there may be other activities that people are doing post-training. So now in the scoring, you have an opportunity to say none, 1, or 2 or more. So you get a bit more credit if you're doing more than just sending an email. The other area that we've changed is in VIP practice. We just realized the idea that a district, that all of their services would have routine inquiry for intimate partner violence above 80%. While we wanted to be visionary, it was a bit of a pipe dream. So I think now we want people to move toward that target, but you are able to say how many services may have achieved that. So perhaps maybe your sexual health services achieved it, or maybe your community mental health. So you're able to say how many of your eligible services have reached that target, and the same for child protection. So it's a bit, you're able to score a bit of points in VIP practice, and we can see if progress is being made a little bit better that way. So those are the only two score changes. The major thing, though, is in the measurement notes. So in VIP practice, again, some of the measurement notes, when it used to be that, for example, all children with a concern have a consultation. When we mention all, we now in the measurement notes say, well, 100% is ideal. We recognize that with documentation and for other reasons, it may not always be feasible or appropriate. So you can now consider all being 90%. So do have a look at the measurement notes as you go through the indicators.
Thanks, Jane. If us listening, if you've got any questions or comments, please just put them in the chat because I am still looking at it. Our next question is, where can I go for resources to help me for the Delphi?
Yep, I think there's some really, as I showed you on the VIP evaluation website, there is the video from 2021. There's the instructions that are there under resources. I would advise, I'd encourage you to connect with other coordinators in your region. And some of them will have more experience. And so do seek help from your fellow coordinators or managers. Managers are expected to do the first two domains of the Delphi. So it may be that the managers want to check in with a manager in a neighboring district and just have a chat with them. So use the resources locally and regionally. The other thing is we are doing Tuakana Taina again this year. So that is a model where we have a buddy from the evaluation team that will reach out to all of the new coordinators. So if people have been not in the coordinator role for a year, one of our team will just be getting in touch with you. Not that as an expert, but really just as a buddy to say, how's it going? What can we do to help? So the Tuakana Taina is based on the Māori model of an older sibling and a younger sibling. So it's just to give you support. And always you can email us or you can call us. We really want to hear from you. We don't want people struggling and getting frustrated. So do give us a ring.
Thank you for that. Look, we've heard from coordinators. I feel pressure to get as many points as possible when I'm not sure. Should I give the district the benefit of the doubt?
This one goes to Kathy.
Yeah, there's something I feel quite strongly about actually, in that when I first started in the role, I wanted Te Taukutumai to be top of the scores. So I was scrabbling around to find every extra point I possibly can or could. But what I've learned now is that is not the purpose of the tool. As noted earlier, the tool is not measuring you as a VIP coordinator. It is measuring the system that you have to work in. So the aim is not to score the highest. The aim is to show the areas where you aren't achieving as well as you could be or not achieving at all, and putting those all into one place so that can then go to your governance group, or you can possibly get support from senior leaders to to work on those particular areas.
Thanks there, Kathy. Our next question is, what do I do if the most senior leader who is supposed to be filling in certain domains just asks me to do it?
And this is something I heard back when I particularly was doing some of the external audits. And as Jane has already said, the measurement criteria have been clarified mostly because of you guys, mostly because you were so generous in offering ideas and ways of doing things that weren't clear for you but might be clearer for someone else. So we wanted to honour all of that feedback and put it into this measurement criteria to make it easier. I think the most important thing to remember in every single one of these items that we're measuring is to stop and think, what is the intent behind that item? So if, for example, your senior leader says, I don't want to fill in the organisational leadership domain, the intent behind that is to ensure that the senior leaders are embedded in this program with us. It's not just the VIP coordinator. Sure, your manager might ask for a bit of your help in filling that out, and that's fine. But ultimately, if you don't have the answers to that and they don't fill it out, then you don't get scores for that. And I think that the intent behind that is something we need to keep in our brains.
Yeah. So I have noticed that some of the items would be best managed nationally, such as having interpreters knowledgeable about interpreting in the context of family violence, or EAP counsellors trained in RE and support.
Yeah, I think absolutely. That's one of the benefits of the Delphi, is to identify things that really need a national response. And as I mentioned earlier, Health Networks and Miranda and the team have been working with providers of translation and EAP to engage in conversation about how their contribution to a responsive health system for family violence. So it's quite important that our interpreters have a cultural and understanding and a sensitivity when they're called to interpret when we're asking about family violence. It is patients' rights to have interpreters. So I think those are things we recognize that need to be done nationally, because the default translation is by phone if you don't have local resources. So are those people who provide that on the phone, have they been trained in family violence as well as the local? So those are things that we note that are on the national agenda.
Marianne, I have noticed your question. We'll get to it at the end of these facts. We have had such a big restructure that many of the items don't exist anymore, so can't be measured. And the example is the district annual plans and board meetings. What do we do about that?
Okay. What we do about that is we recognise that we haven't even finished that restructure. So we have tried our hardest for those items that originally were based on DHBs to now and reflect those with local or regional answers. But they're not perfect because, as I said, we haven't even finished all of that restructure. So we don't know what's now going to take the place of DAPs and stuff like that.
Thanks for that. And I've got a final question here, which is the deadline for submitting the self-evaluations on the 15th of December, and that doesn't really give us much time. What if we can't get it done by then?
Yeah, the 15th of December is a target. So we realize that people will have different resources available and be able to complete it. Some will achieve the target. In the past, about 50% of the districts have provided the self-audit by the deadline, and the other half have dribbled in over time. And that's fine. When you submit your self-audit, that will initiate an invitation for the site visit. So we will be doing the site visits over time as the self-audits come in. So if you're not able to meet the 15th of December, just get in touch. Just let us know how you're going. Do you need any support? When is a reasonable date for you to be able to submit it? And we'll work with that.
Okay. So I'm just going to go into our chats. Maria was saying, we don't know what is on the national agenda. Example, your comments through the interpreters. How is this going to be captured in the Delphi?
I think until there is a solution, the response is that it's not achieved. And I think, again, that documents the need that we need to get toward that solution. So, and how do you know what's happening? I think Kathy Phillips is attending all of the regional meetings, and as well as Miranda, someone from the evaluation and the training team. So at those regional meetings, you will hear of some of the initiatives that are happening nationally.
I think that's a good point though, Maria. And in the past, maybe we haven't heard what's been happening, and we do need to hear that. And so at our regional meetings, that's our opportunity to bring that forward and say, okay, how are you going to set this up in the future so that we're aware of these things?
That's right. And, you know,
On that note, we're having massive challenges in the policy space, like significant back and forth with national office, with Kathy, with Miranda. So the transparency even around policies is not there. And because we don't know what's on the agenda, it feels like there's just so many layers that a lot of us are more confused than not. And it just sort of, it's hard, you know, we're scoring ourselves low in spaces, but actually we could be scoring better if we knew what was happening, and we're kind of reinventing the wheel in spaces. And I'm seeing all my coordinators nodding, and this is not about you guys. It just feels really disappointing. We have to wait for a regional hui to find out what the topics are, but we don't get to actually consolidate or collaborate. And we've raised this with the national policy team, and we just get all of our questions diverted. So I love that the Delphi is purposeful in reviewing this program. I love what Sarah Herbert was saying and bringing in that the cultural perspective. It's fabulous, but nothing has progressed from the previous Delphi, from the previous snapshot, from the previous thing. And we're all passionate, but the layers are just not shifting. You know me, Kathy, I always like to have a bit of a preach.
Yeah, I'm nodding along with you.
Yeah, absolutely.
It just feels like we've got so much on our plate and we're adhering to things. And I love the evaluation that it comes out of it, but nothing shifts. And it's sort of, where's the purpose in it? Where's the purpose in our ministry report? Where's the purpose in a snapshot and a PDSA? Nothing shifts. And nationally, we're all in the same boat. So the collaboration just feels non-existent. Even between health networks, AUT, Te Whatu Water, Shine, that's 4 layers that we don't actually know what is on anyone's agenda.
Well said. Sarah, you've got some comments.
I just wondered if I could clarify, is what I'm hearing there and seeing in some of the comments that there is a disconnect between and across layers, and then therefore would a solution look like bringing our VIP coordinators and managers together with the national, you called it the national policy team, are we talking Kathy Phillips, that team?
Yeah, so we have previously had national coordinators huis, and I'm not trying to be rude here, but we are never allowed to bring anything to the agenda. When we have come up with ideas and suggested things, we have been told that there is an agenda. And then this year, the hui isn't happening. We're meeting regionally. I've even been talking to Sarah at the national policies team, and she's even confused and surprised that where is the voice of the coordinators on the policy team? Our policy team is saying it hasn't gone out for national consultation, but now it's in existence. Half of us have never heard that the policy is even in existence, and it was through one email we got in September. The program is all of our coordinators are sitting there. You can just see us all being like, what the heck's going on? And there is no coming together to look at any aspect of it. There is just teams and services working around us. And then we kind of get told something rather than being informed as part of that. And we've raised this many times, but the challenge is that nothing shifts when we've got the top down coming in. And I'm looking forward to the region. It's great to have that collaboration, but where's our voice in actually being able to change and implement? So there's a national policy and we have to localize it, but there's no any conversations around how you localize that. So all of the stuff that comes out of the Delphi, our managers want to support us, but there's no funding, to support putting in new coordinators to improve post processes, to improve post evaluation processes. Like, I don't know. I'm going to shut up now.
No, I think it's really valuable. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks. Marianne, I see that you've got your hand up and also you've got a question here. So I hope that you'll cover both of those things.
Yeah, I agree with what Maria said. I also think, there's been a huge shift. I've been in this role now about 11, 12 years, and there's a huge shift now to national VIP and national Te Whatu Ora. So some of the work I think we should do nationally, and a lot of coordinators have put their hands up to work together to move some of these issues. So some of us that's been in these roles for a long time, we can work together in task groups and get some national things going, because there was a time that we had our local Taranaki DAP, district annual plan. We don't have that anymore. So we need a national, that was my question, we need a national VIP quality and risk plan for every year, and then we can all localize it. We do have a local VIP annual plan, but it needs to be linked to a national, because districts do not do things in isolation. Just doing some planning now for White Ribbon Day, I was told by type of national group, by a local group, that nationally there's 10 health targets. VIP isn't a health target. So we need to get VIP there.
Agreed.
And around about 2016, 17, VIP was a health target and things did move. Now we should advocate, because we want to deliver. So we need to place VIP on a continuous, because Te Aroha Kura and what's happening in that domain, we need to be an ongoing health target. So then we need to have an annual plan, and groups of coordinators can do the work, and then it can be officially transformed, edited into a national document. But it's almost like the practice of moving faster than the policies, but we need to all work in policies to be safe. So also what's happening in FAVIAS and our multi-agency meetings, those things are already happening, but we have got no policies. So we're all working in this space, but we can all work together if we need to. Yeah, that's all.
It also feels a bit like we're just working in silos and reinventing the wheel over and over and over and over around the country, when actually if we were just on the same page and working groups, we could get these things moving in a way that worked for everybody and was way more efficient and save us all a lot of time and energy and effort in developing documents and things like that.
We've been asked, but it hasn't been supported.
Yeah. Well, I want to keep going. There are some more questions in the chat, so if we could park that for a little bit, and I just want to get on to Gina's question. What advocacy can the audit team do to the higher powers to access resourcing and change at senior levels based on the outcomes of the audit? I'd probably include national changes as well there. Jane?
Absolutely. Yeah,
Sarah,
I think,
Kathy?
we do feel that that's our role, to advocate for that. We, in our evaluation, our current evaluation report that'll be coming out probably this week, we make a strong case for responsibility of health leadership to recognize family violence as a social determinant of ill health. And Marianne's absolutely correct that there just is not a strong voice recognizing family violence as a health issue. And Te Puni Aranui, for example, health is fairly invisible in the action plan. So I think we do need to advocate for that. I know the videos that Janet Fonslow and Patrick Kelly and Ashley Bloomfield and Denise Wilson created, raising the issue of family violence, a health issue, are really stunning. So it's about sharing those, and it needs to be a political action. So it is the only thing right now that has political legs, so to speak, is the Dang Patasi report and the recommendations that came from that. So Kathy Phillips has been talking about that, and there has been quite a big push within Health New Zealand to respond to those recommendations. So it is hard to create political will, but it is something that when our report is ready for release, we will hopefully have a good comms plan for that.
Thanks. And we do have a couple of managers here. Shout out to Natalia and Penny. Hi, Penny. Will the VIP managers be expected to attend your post-audit site visits?
Yes, it's a routine that we schedule the site visit when the manager is available. So we usually highly suggest that the manager is there at the site visit at the beginning of the day for the introduction, and then at least comes at the end of the day where we present a summary. So particularly the beginning and the end of the day that the manager is there, although they're certainly invited to attend the whole day if they'd like.
Thanks. Gina, I see your hand is up.
Oh, kia ora. It was actually me that asked the question, but I'm on Gina's computer. So thanks for that answer, Jane. And I was definitely, when I asked that question about advocacy, thinking, you know, broader and higher than our managers within the district, but at a national level, and the Minister of Health, and, you know, the position of health within Te Aotearoa Kura, the national strategy, and that kind of advocacy, you know, because the districts can do what we're doing, but actually at that level. And this is data, you know, the importance and the value of this data that comes out that could be, used. It's powerful, that for that advocacy. Be great to see that.
Yeah, great.
Thanks.
We don't have any more questions in the chat. You're welcome to keep putting them in, but if you've got a comment or a question, I encourage you to raise your hand and have a say.
Just while we're waiting, the report that Jane's talking about, this is where is it? There.
Kathy disappears.
There. Anyway, this is just an example of it. This is just a mock-up, but it should be published very soon. I would encourage every single one of you to read this, because it gives teeth to our program. It's got the results that we need to be able to advocate for the resources that are required in order for people to take this program seriously. There's also, when we come around to the regional meetings, we'll be introducing this year, we've got Power BI as well, which means that I'm not a tech person, but it's a computer program where I can type in there, I want to compare Canterbury with Waikato, and it will bring up the snapshot results, and we can look and compare those. So yeah, that's all. It's just that it's actually quite a readable document.
I think, I want to just respond to the advocacy bit. As the Health New Zealand is restructured into regions, I think our team has talked about advocacy for change, taking advantage of the regional structure as well. So I think that's something that's new for us. So I'm looking forward to see what we can do through the regional structures as well. So there may be more power that comes from the the regional HHS system. I think the other issue is about that feedback. I know in influencing policy and planning. The other thing is that VIP is a national governance group. So it is critical for the voice of coordinators and managers to be able to feed into the governance group. So they've only had one meeting and they're working on terms of reference, and I'm not sure. So continue to challenge and to ask those questions. That's really, really important. That because that's important dialogue to get this right. So we're going to have to work on it.
We'll go to you, Penny, and then I'll talk about Kath's question.
Oh, sorry, I didn't want to put anything in the chat because I suppose when we're talking about many things in tairawhiti, we don't have them. We don't have Power BI. We have one FTE that's been cut up, and we have the highest deprivation in Aotearoa. We have the highest family violence in Aotearoa per population. We are the geographically challenged. We're now recruiting for our 5th GDO, and we haven't landed our structure. So that is our reality here. And it's been something, we don't even have a Māori unit, a Hauora Māori unit. And that is what where tairawhiti is. What I would like to know is around, and I've been around this for ages, like 2009, I became the team leader and took on the manager for the VIP program. So I've been around the Mulberry Bush quite a few times here and had some excellent VIP coordinators in role. The challenge in this role is you're hitting your head up against a brick wall, and the changes within the Delphi and what it spits out around structural changes and challenges and everything else that we can put words to, the change doesn't happen. And here we go again, new coordinator, new energy, and then they get tired of the same thing over and over again. You know, the investment from above is what we need. We need to hear the messages from above. It starts at the top. And, you know, happy and passionate about ensuring that our whānau are well looked after, that there are systems in place. We can't even get the MOU, the partners, police, OT, and us around the table just to have a conversation about, okay, bro, you're doing this and what are you doing? You know, because police are now pushing away. Police are now cutting all those strings, and they're regrouping themselves and saying, this is what we can do and this is what we're not going to do. OT are very much the same. So, you know, it's a real challenge. I mean, I've had to really push back today to OT and said, if I don't get a response, I'm putting in another formal complaint about a very vulnerable baby. I'm sorry, I'm just over it. And so I suppose my rant is that I haven't seen a lot of changes. And I've been around the block a few times. So I want investment from the top. I want changes. And I mean, it doesn't help with the government. Sorry, I'll get political because they're pulling every way in terms of Māori, you know, the treaty in every aspect of policy. So where does this leave us, I suppose? I'm just putting tairawhiti on the map right now because it is challenging, very challenging. So that's my rant, sorry.
Mm-hmm. Kia ora, Penny, and I know over many years you held the space when there were vacancies in the VIP role and kept things ticking over, but yeah, kia ora. I'm going to go to the chat with Kath. Her question is, do we have anyone in Health New Zealand board level who has a VIP in their portfolio? So we have the highest level of advocacy for the program. What about clinical senate or national clinical governance?
did you want me to speak to that? Essentially, you know, like, well, when we did the whakawhanaungatanga, I was talking about being involved in effort right from 2008, and I don't really think there's been any kind of appreciable change. In fact, we've become much more compartmentalised. But when I look around the room and everybody is apologising for ranting, these aren't rants. These are committed people who've been involved in this work for 15 or 20 years or longer. And we're still seeing the same entrenched issues. I do think that we need to be advocating at the top of this pile that we're in, to get somebody on the board or raise this at Senate. We have all these grand bodies now to engage with our very senior clinical staff, and I just think it needs advocacy from the top. I've just been to our Waikato Board of Clinical Governance this morning to support my medical director delivering our quarterly report, and nowhere in that report talks about the struggles that we're having with the effort program. And I know that Maria and Megan have they raise these issues with me often, but we're still not getting the traction. But I do believe it has to come from the top. And so the work that you're all doing to rant is keeping it at the very least on the agenda. But if you do have 5 minutes with your very senior leaders, make sure it's priority number one. You know, if it was attached to a target, we'd all be doing pretty well, I think, and probably getting some resources as well. There is so much that's gone by the wayside because we've had to move to targets.
Thank you, everyone, for all of that. We're coming to a close now. Certainly, I recognise that the difficulties that we've experienced over the years and sometimes into the decades is still apparent. And the questions are really, who do we go to tell that to? And I think I would like to acknowledge that the work that we do as VIPs out there in the field is really important work and does make a change. But the frustration is that that change is only as much as our practice, and how can we get everyone more on board with the incredible health issue that is centred around family violence. Jane, do you have a last word before we finish? And I'll do a karakia to end us.
No, I think how to create change, how to get that political will is important. It is a bit frustrating right now. There will be, I think we have to form a coalition and be ready. So when there is an opening, we're right in there. So there are opportunities that will come. And as long as we are ready to take advantage of those open windows, please let there be some open windows that we can move forward. It is disappointing. I mean, I have to say on behalf of the evaluation team, we're very disappointed that the governance group doesn't have more representation and many and Te'erere Kura called for transformational change, and yet I don't, where is that happening in health? We're ready for that transformation. Yeah, so, and I love the idea of working groups. I think that's great, and for us to, I think we can do that. I think we can argue for working groups. So if there's an issue, we can call for people who are interested, and they can meet nationally to tick some things off the list. But it is much more important to have that leadership acknowledging family violence, a health issue, and an equity issue, and a Te-Tiriti issue. So all of those things need to happen.
Thanks, Jane. Feels difficult to end right now, but we're 2 times, so I'll just finish with the finishing karakia. Kia tau, kia tātou katoa, te atawhai o tō tātou ariki a ihu karaiti, me te aroha o te atua, me te whiwhiwa takitanga, ki te wairua tapu, ake, ake, amene. Kia ora everyone.
Kia ora te para.